Hey guys, welcome to my sewing room. If you guys are new here, hello, my name is Amanda and I teach DIYers like yourself how to sew beautifully handmade garments. In today's pattern making tutorial, I'll be teaching you guys how to do a full bust adjustment on a standard bodice block with only a waist start. If you guys are interested in learning how to see that, stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos. Now let's get pattern making. Okay, so to get started, you're going to need your bodice block. You're going to need some paper scissors, different color pencils. You want to use like Scotch tape or that clear tape, but I can't find mine, so I'm going to use masking tape. You're going to need rulers. I have a see-through ruler and a couple French curves, and then you're going to need a measuring tape to take your measurements. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is trace off your bodice block down to the waistline. You want to make sure you transfer your bust line and your darts, and I've already done that. Excuse me, the paper's crinkly, it's been through some things. Now, to determine whether or not you need a full bust adjustment, you have to make a mock-up of your block. When you make a mock-up and you put the mock-up on, if your bust is flattened out or you have a whole bunch of extra like gaping here from your arm side to your bust line, that's how you know you need a full bust adjustment. Mine is actually flattening my bust line in the front despite the fact that the circumference is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and do a full bust adjustment. I have my measurements here. I know that my bust is 39.5, so I need to find my front bust. Your front bust is from side seam to side seam along your bust line in the front, and mine is 23.5 inches. So I need to figure out what the bust line of my block piece is, and I've already measured it, but I will do it again. And it is measuring 9 7/8. Now I know that 9 7/8 times 2 is 19.25, and I need 23.5 in my front bust line, and that is the reason why my bust is being flattened out. So I know I need to add 3 3/4 here to the front bust. So obviously this is half the pattern piece, so you need to go ahead and add 1 7/8 to it. To start off, you're going to need to find where your apex is. Now your apex should be directly in the center of the dart, but I didn't draw this very accurate, so I'm going to go ahead and measure it. I know my apex is 4 inches from my center front, so I'm going to mark where my apex is, and then I'm going to square a line down through my dart. The next line that I want to draw, and I forgot to mark my notch, but it should be about there. The next line I want to draw is a diagonal line from my apex connecting to my notch on my armhole. I'm going to go ahead and draw that. And the last line I want to draw is from my apex to about 1/3 of the way down on my side seam. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that. Okay. Now that we have these 3 lines drawn, we want to go ahead and start cutting them out, or not cutting them out, but cutting them. I'm going to start here with the one at the waistline, and I'm going to cut up to my bust point. I'm going to pivot and start cutting up to where my notch is, but I'm not going to cut through because I need this to be kind of an anchor point for me to be able to move out the paper. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this line as well up to my bust point. So now that we have something like this going on, what you want to do is grab another piece of paper. I'm just going to take a scrap piece here that I have lying around. You're going to want to make sure that one line is perfectly straight, and I want to measure 1 7/8 away from that straight edge and mark. and then square that line down. Make sure the line is straight. Now I'm going to cut this extra stuff off. Okay, once you have that, you want to get your pattern piece. I hope I'm showing you guys can see it good. You want to get your pattern piece and you want to line up edge to edge. Let me explain why we did it this way. You want to make sure that your center front is always a straight line, straight up and down. So that's why we cut here and we cut here, so that we can move and add area to our bust line with these pieces and not from our center piece. So you want to make sure that when you're adding your extra here, that your piece that's your center front is still straight up and down. Now what you want to do is take this piece here and you want to move it so that it touches the line. Okay? And then you also want to take this piece and you want to pivot it so that it's parallel to your center front. Lord have mercy. Okay, so once you get to this point to where you've added in your extra inch and 7/8, what you want to do is you want to start filling in these areas that are, there's no paper behind them. And notice that in opening out, we've actually created a bust start here. And notice that the bust start is not pointing towards the bust line, so it's not a correct bust start. We're gonna go ahead and address that in just a second. Now that we have everything filled in, the first thing I'm going to do is address this waistline here. I want to measure it to see how long it is. So I get here that this is 13, which means that my waistline is 26, and my waistline actually only needs to be 18 and a half. And we're talking just front waistline, by the way. So I know I need to take a couple of inches off of this, about 3.5 inches from this. So what I'm going to do is measure a straight line down from my bust line. I know I need to add 3 3/4. So I'm going to divide that in half, which is 1 7/8, which is how much we added here. And I'm going to go ahead and take that from, well, take that into a dart. So and then I'm going to measure down 1 inch from my apex and mark here, and that'll be the point of our dart. I'm going to draw in a new dart here. Okay, so I had to switch over my paper because it kept falling apart on me. We're at the same step besides the fact that I've already trued this bust dart, so we can go ahead and move it up. So now I'm going to draw a line from my bust point to the center of that bust dart. I'm going to put a line there. And then I'm going to measure 1 inch from my bust point. On that same line, I'm going to measure 1 inch down, and I'm going to put a mark there, and that's going to be our new bust point. And then I'm going to take a line from that new bust point and connect it to the existing dart legs that we already have, because I'm not trying to make the dart any bigger or smaller. I just want to change the angle at which it is pointing to the bust. So I'm going to go ahead and mark that. Basically, what I am trying to do is I want to close this bust dart here, and I'm just chewing it just to make sure that the way it's already trued is fine, which it's fine enough. But anyway, essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this bust dart here, and then I'm going to put half of it into my waist, and the other half is going to go into a shoulder dart. I didn't want to put all of it into my waist because it'll create too large of a dart. So I'm going to slash one of the dart legs all the way up to the bust line. I'm also going to slash one of the dart legs on the waist dart up to the bust line, as well as finding the center of my shoulder. And I'm going to put a mark there. And then I'm going to connect that mark to my bust line, and I'm going to slash there as well. Okay, so now that we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and start closing out that bust dart. I want to find where the center of it is just to make sure that we're closing it even on both sides. So now that I found the center, I'm going to grab that bottom piece that connects the waist dart to the bust dart, and I'm going to close the bust dart halfway. To close the top portion of the dart, you're going to want to slash into the other side of the dart leg for the bust dart. So we're going to go ahead and slash the second leg all the way up to the bust point so we can go ahead and close the rest of the dart. So at this point, you could put it all into your shoulder or all into your waist. I decided to go half and half. So I'm going to move my outer piece so that there's an equal amount of opening between my in my waist dart and in my shoulder dart. And I'm going to tape that in place. And then I'm going to add some paper as a backing there so that it's not all flimsy. I'm also going to add a little bit of extra paper there at the bottom of the, or at the top of the shoulder line so I can true up this shoulder dart. Okay, now it's time to true the waist dart. I find out how much my dart needs to be by measuring my waistline, and then I take the amount that is, and then I minus it by the correct measurement, and I think I got about 3 inches here, so I needed a 3-inch dart. So what I did was I squared the line down from my bust point down to my waistline, and I drew that line there. And then I measured 1.5 inches on both sides of that line, and that's how I got my dart legs on my waistline. And then I trued the dart as normal. After I finished truing the waist dart, I redrew in the bust line just to make sure that it's nice and straight, and I also measured it to make sure it was the correct amount, and it actually was still a little bit short, so I added a little bit extra paper there on the side to fix that issue. Which it just so happened to be the same amount as what the side seam was after we closed the dart. So I think that's fine. If it's not, please let me know in the comments. But when I did the fitting, it worked. So, I mean, you know, if it works. Now what I'm doing is I'm creating the actual dart for the shoulder. So I'm measuring 1 inch for my bust line, and I'm going to connect that point to the legs of the dart that we already have. Okay, so I sew my mock-up, and this is how it turned out. It fits my bust really good, but I do notice that, like I said earlier, my bust point is way too high here on the pattern. Way too high. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower my bust point. I'm going to lower my bust point to a more comfortable place. I think mine would be about, let's feel, yeah, about there. So that would be my new bust point. That's gonna be our new bust point. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is take this, my waist dart, and move it down, probably to about there. And then I'm going to take, I think this dart on the top is actually okay. I think I'm getting this puckering here from my waistline dart. So I'm gonna leave it like that. But all in all, I think it fits really good. My shoulders are a tad too long, so I think I may take about a 1/2 inch off the shoulder, or I may leave it and that can be my seam allowance actually. This is the back. The back fits really good. It has quite a bit of ease in it. So let's go ahead and get back over to our pattern drafting table and let's get our corrections over to our block. Say hi, camera.
Hi, camera.
Say hi, camera.
Hi,
It's the L family. Ah, the little one. Say hey, hey, her, hey, 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 hey. All right, time for business.